Joining us now, he is in his first year as head coach at Cal Baptist. They are on a roll right now, of course, as we record this, coming off another walk-off victory, which has been a string of them. They're on top of the WAC conference, and playing some of their best softball, 28-11 as we record this. I speak of course, Brandon Telesco joining us here prior to their big series this Easter weekend. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Excited to be here.
Good. What have you learned about this group now as we're basically two-thirds into the season?
Yeah, I think for us is when we put the roster together, right? We had a bunch of young kids. We had 10 freshmen incoming, and then we brought in a bunch of transfers, and so it's a brand new group, right? We have more new players on our roster than we did returners, and so for us it was about establishing a culture and meshing together. And then as we've gone through the year, right, we got really hot at the beginning, and then we've kind of took some lumps in the middle here, and now we're getting back going, and so. We're just for us it's really learning how to win and maintain consistency, right? And for our group, what I've learned is they've got incredible heart. We've had a ton of walk-offs, and no matter what the score is, right, they're always in it. And we feel like we got a chance to win every night. And so we got a great group of kids that love to compete, and they love each other, and so it's been a blessing to coach.
Are they where you thought they would be? Have they exceeded your expectations? Are you close to where you want to be?
No, I'll be honest with you. I think my expectations are 40-0 at this point. So we're no, we've from a personnel standpoint and who they are as humans and what we want our program to represent, they've exceeded it. They're incredible kids, incredible student athletes. They're great in the classroom, and they do everything the right way. For us, I think there's a lot of growth for us to still do in terms of where we want to be on the field. It's great. We're in a great spot, but we feel like it's a long way to go, right? And we have a ton of room to improve. And so, offensively, it's we got some growing to do. We've taken our lumps, but we're getting better. And but for me, as an offensive guy, I think our standard is higher than what we've shown lately. And so, we're excited to get another opportunity to go this weekend and continue to get better.
It is ironic. You mentioned you run your offensive guy you brought in, but
Yeah.
really a lot of your headlines have been on the pitching side.
Yeah. Yep.
Tremendous staff, 2.87 as a staff. Certainly, Miranda Denava has gotten a lot of attention, winning once again WAC Pitcher of the Week. I would argue she's right now the front runner for WAC Pitcher of the Year. Just talk about the pitching staff and led by Denava.
Yeah, Denava's incredible. I don't know if you saw last weekend. She threw 18 straight innings on a Saturday, right, to win a series in one day. And so, ultimate competitor, right? I knew, having her at Cal, I knew how good her stuff was, right? And as a freshman, she got some good innings, great experience, and she's a Riverside kid, and so we got to bring her home, and the pride that she has putting on this uniform and doing it in front of her home fans is just awesome to see. And she doesn't let me take the ball out of her hands, which is incredible. The makeup, the moxie, the will to win is just special. And she's got a really good rise ball. And I think people are really starting to see who she is. And she's only a sophomore. So we're really excited about her currently and then the future for her. And then, we have our one older person on the staff is Emily Darwin, transferred from Grand Canyon. And Emily was throwing the ball really well at the beginning of the year. And then again, struggled with some command, but has bounced back lately. And so we're excited where she's at. It's a different look, right? Denava's more a spin in the spot, and Darwin can throw some velo behind it and work down in the zone. And so we feel like with those two, right, we show different looks, and we're excited what they do. And then Maddie Martin is throwing the ball really well lately. She's kind of stepped into a role here in the midweeks, and she's just continuing to earn more innings, and as somebody that can go up and down and throws three speeds. And so we have some versatility on our staff, and it's good because teams, when you give them the same look, right, they can adjust. And so for us, we constantly give another look. And so yeah, we feel really good about our staff, and that has been the reason we're having success, right? Pitching and defense. I think we play some really good defense behind our pitchers, and they attack the strike zone, and yeah, we're in a good spot there.
Who stands out for you on the defensive side you mentioned?
Yeah, I'd say up the middle. Really, we have a freshman at short who's kind of up and down defensively. She's an elite hitter right now. We moved her to short this year out of necessity, and she's adapted well. But Sydney Peterson at second base has been phenomenal. Transfer from LSU. She's coming back from labrum surgery, so she doesn't have her arm strength there, but her glove is elite. Her hands are elite. She's constantly talking and commanding our younger infield, and so she's doing that. And then Michaela Medellin in center is a big time center fielder. I think I would say, and this is me being biased, but she's the best outfielder in the conference, and she's having a great year. Another leader for us, and she's got great range and a great arm, and so defensively to have them in the middle of the field is huge for us.
Of course, offensive, you got a big power bat there with Michaela. That helps. Talk about her and what she brings.
Yeah. Talk about a steady like presence, right? It's a competitive nature. She learns it at bat to at bat, right? It's a mature presence for really a younger. We have some older, key cogs in our lineup, but a lot of younger girls are learning from her and how to adapt and adjust at bat to at bat, and attack the pitcher's weakness and stuff like that. And so she's having a great year power wise. She just gets after it in the weight room. She's in incredible shape, right? She came in here with some urgency to kind of last year and take over, and so we're blessed to have her hit in the middle of the order. I can pencil her in the 3-hole every game. I can write the lineup for the rest of the year, right? It's just steady. She can run. She's super athletic. Just an extremely talented ball player.
You mentioned you're not where you want to be offensively.
Yeah.
How much of a transition has that been? How much have you had to adapt? Because there are certain players, you're getting to know them. They're getting to know you. There's a style there. How has that transition been so far?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, it's been interesting. I'm find myself kind of in a hard place trying to figure out, being a head coach and being involved with every piece of the team, and then trying to be involved in the offense. And I haven't been as involved as I imagined, but which is great. I have a young staff and they're incredible and they get after it, and I want to show my trust in them. And as we come here, our yard is beautiful. We have incredible facilities, but it's huge. It's massive, and I think where our lineup's at, and we've flown out to the warning track or hit the wall like 15 times in the last 2 weeks. It's just like, our power numbers and our numbers should be way up, but we have to adapt to our yard. That's been a big adjustment for us, especially somebody who, for me, who's been a little bit more uphill hitting the ball over the fence, to come here, and now we got to get on top more and work more gap to gap. It's an adjustment. We've adjusted in recruiting going forward for the kind of player we're looking for, and so our kids again have bought in, and that's all you want, right? In your first year, and so for us, it's just learning how to take quality at bats, and the good thing we're doing is we are taking walks and getting on base a little bit more than we strike out, which is what we want and competitive wise in that way. And so we're stealing bases and we're bunting. It's just learning how to play a little bit more of small ball. So that's been the big adjustment for us.
You mentioned your staff and how much you're not as direct. Take me through the process. You get hired as the head coach. Take me through your vision on how you built your staff and their roles. Because some coaches like to have full control, for example, of the offense. Some like to collaborate. Some like to have that person run it. Take me through that process that you had to go through as a young head coach.
Yeah. So I always envisioned doing the offense. That's just been my thing, right? And so I've always envisioned it. And then, I got here and we want to implement all these things. You have all these new players, and so I envisioned it. And then as we started to go, I was like, oh, maybe I need to be more hands off there and be involved in other areas. And so, when I was hiring my staff, my first assistant, Kevin Castillo, I needed somebody that was been in the game for a while, right? He was at Long Beach State for 9 years. And so for me as a 32-year-old head coach, right, you need somebody that's wise and can keep me calm in the pressure moments, right? And so he's my right hand man. And then I went super young. Haley Archer, my pitching coach, she pitched when I was at Cal, and you kind of know as you're coaching kids, you kind of know the ones that could potentially be a really good coach. And she was a leader, and I just saw a lot in her. And then she went to Ole Miss and was a GA there, and learned a lot, right, on the pitching side of things. And so for me, I felt really comfortable. They had a ton of success last year, and so I felt really comfortable bringing her in. And she's done an incredible job. Our staff is is very good. And then Tessa Malaulu. It's funny, we were recruiting her as a grad student. She ended up going to Duke, right? But we were recruiting her to Cal, and through the recruiting process, you just talk to the kid, and just an incredible, mature young woman who knows exactly who she is and what she wants, and she knows the game inside and out. And for me, I was like, I'm gonna follow along this kid and watch her. And she had a great year at Duke, and then had a great year in the pro league, and so it was like a no brainer. I offered her the job, and she's from Long Beach, and so to get her close back to home. And then you're going through the fall and you're feeling things out, right? That was our process, right? Like who's going to do what. So we had Kevin, who kind of took over the defensive side of things, and Haley's doing the pitching, and then you watch Tessa work, and she's great in all areas. And so I decided, really the start of January, that she's really going to be more hands-on offensively. But everybody kind of dives into it. It's a collaborated effort. But she does our game planning, she does all our scouting, and she's done a great job. She puts together great plans, and me and her go over them before we get going on a series, and it's been great. And so at practice, we're all of us are hands on with the hitters, and so we're implementing my systems, but little by little, right? You have to adapt to the athlete you have too. And so I think as we continue to recruit and go forward, we'll be able to implement a little bit more.
Speaking with Cal Baptist head coach Brandon Telesco here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, powered by 643. What got you into softball? I know you kind of have obviously the baseball background, but what was it? What was the turning point that you said, "Hey, let me give the softball coaching a try"?
Yeah, so I was coaching baseball. I had multiple arm injuries, Tommy John, multiple surgeries. Career really didn't pan out to anything that I imagined it to be. I think I've barely been coaching, and I've had a more successful coaching career than playing career. And for me, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was coaching baseball, and I was kind of just over it at that point. The game kind of broke my heart, right? And so, somebody I knew that was doing some of the similar stuff with me, Brittany Mata, she's actually the head coach at UCR. She got a junior college head coaching job, and I was just like, hey, I need something different here, right? Something to fire me up and get me motivated again. And reached out, see if she needed a hitting coach, and that was it. There was I don't know, 8 years ago maybe, and we just kind of ran with it from there, and did the junior college thing, and then became an NAI head coach, and got to coach with my wife, and we were the national coaching staff of the year for 1 year, and then Cal came calling, and was blessed to go there and work with an incredible staff at Cal and learn a lot, and fail a lot, and and then ultimately become the coach that I am today. And so just in love with it, in love with the speed of the game, the egoless nature of the players. The girls are incredible, and I just love it. So we're blessed to be here.
What was the adjustment like going from coaching baseball to softball? I know there's similarities, but there's
Yeah.
differences. What was
Yeah.
that adjustment like for you? What was the biggest thing you learned right away?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest adjustment, obviously the up ball, right, the rise ball. And I mean, for me that's something that obviously in baseball now they're trying to throw a four seam at the top of the zone that rides up, but we didn't have anything like it, right? And so as a guy in that era, the big thing there was launch angle. That was the big start of launch angle, right, in baseball. And so trying to teach a girl how to hit a ball going that way, and a pitch coming in at that way. That was an adjustment, right? That was number one. And then number two was obviously the slapper side of things. As a hitting coach, right? You have a bunch of slappers, and I had no idea about that, and so I had to learn that. But I'm just a sponge. I called everybody, anybody that would take my call, right? I wanted to learn. My wife played at Arizona State, and so I had great connections there, with that coaching staff. And anybody that would let me pick their brain, I just would try to learn and get better, and fell in love with it through that process. And then have built some great relationships with some mentors along the way.
Who were some of the people that has guided you through this process? And
Yeah.
was head coach the ultimate goal?
Yeah. I think for me, when I got promoted to associate head coach, and then in junior college, and then I felt that what it was like to kind of be up at the top, and I fell in love with it. And then I had a successful year at the NAI level where I was the head coach, and so that was the goal, right? I went to Cal with that goal in mind, and they knew that, and they promoted me there, and then ultimately becoming a head coach was always the goal. I do like the pressure. I told my administration that I want pressure. I want to feel like it's on me to win games, and I do want to make the call at the end of the day and what happens. And so head coach was always the goal. A huge mentor for me now in the game is Shannon Hayes. He's been phenomenal ever since I met him when I was coaching junior college. My wife was actually on his initial staff when he first got the job at GCU, and so we had one car at the time, and so they used to practice early in the mornings, so I would drive her. We would practice in the afternoon. I would drive her to work, sit in the press box, and watch practice. And then I would sit in on some of his recruiting stuff, and I just learned a ton from him. That guy can sell anything. He's just fantastic, and so he's been a huge help to me. We talked last night, and he's just a huge resource for me, and definitely my biggest mentor. And then another one for me would be my father-in-law, Andy Stankiewicz. He's the head baseball coach at USC. And he's a huge mentor for me in this. Somebody that he was at Grand Canyon as the head baseball coach there when I was starting. And so I got to go to the house and pick his brain and, sit down at the table and talk about a lot of different things and how to build a program. And, it's awesome now that he's at USC and we're not far, and he gets to see his grandson and we get to go see them play often. And they're having an incredible year. But he's somebody I could pick up the phone and just call him or go see him. And, it's been a blessing to me to have those people in my life that really have guided me and helped me become who I am.
You had success at Cal offensively, covered you guys where you were a married nutter and all that. You're not alone. You're not the first baseball guy to come over to softball and have success. That's been a growing trend in the sport. Why do you think that is? Why has the baseball guys been able to fit in softball? Maybe some of that is, there is some baseball coming into softball with pitching staffs now being used like in baseball and things like that. So that might be part of it. But what is it? Do you have a theory on that?
I don't know if I have an exact theory. I do know the way we do things here. I mean, we do it baseball like, right, in terms of some analytical, some stuff, some matchups, right. I think that's a big thing we do. You'll see last weekend we put a huge shift on a kid, and that's something that I do, and that's something that I took from baseball, right. You don't see it a ton, and I mean we put we have left one man on the left side and kid that big power hitting lefty, and we're gonna shift it like Barry Bonds was up, right. And so it worked for us, and so we bring that stuff into the game. But I think for us as baseball guys, is especially the guys that are kind of more old school mentality, and the way I was coached was by a bunch of old school coaches, and the grinders that are softball players are incredible grinders, right. There's more ego in the baseball game, right. Guys are worried about their draft stock and a lot of other things, and when you get to come and coach softball player, and especially at this level, they're elite athletes. These athletes are incredible. They work their butts off, and they're all about the team. And for me, that's what I love. And it was easy to fall in love. And then obviously the speed of the game, right? I mean, baseball can get a little long, and we're getting after it. And there's action in softball every pitch, and it's just an awesome game, right? And I think more guys are starting to see that. Obviously, as the game grows and we get continued promotion and bigger platforms to be on, right? I think more baseball people are going to start to fall in love with the game of softball.
What was it about Cal Baptist that you felt like this is the right spot for me to be a Division I head coach?
Yeah, my faith is huge. It's huge for me, and this is a faith fit number one. It's a place that when you get here, it's nobody really knows about it. I'll be honest, I didn't know a ton. I did not know a ton, and they flew me out here, and I got on campus, and I was just blown away. They've invested so much into these facilities, and everything's in pristine shape. I'd like to think we have the best facilities in any mid-major in America here. The building that I'm in, my office, is incredible. It's a year old. It's a blessing, really. So the facility is number one, and then our administration is all about athletics, and they're huge in softball. And so they talk about what they want and their vision, and who they want to be and who they want to beat. And and then the financial backing that they're willing to invest, right. It's one thing to say that you want to do this and that, and we want to support you, but when you get here and they actually financially put some support behind you, invest in you. It was an easy sell for me. Is it's a place where my family loves to come. My wife, my son, they're here all the time, and it's just a great community, right? It's a small knit community. Everybody knows your name, who you are, right? Where I've been at a bigger school where you can walk into a building and nobody even looks at you, or they don't know who you are, and so. This place is special, and they take care of their student athletes, and yeah, it was an easy yes for me.
Describe the facilities you have.
Yeah. So our field, our outfield surface is turf. All the way around is turf. That's only a couple years old. When doing that, they moved the fences back. So there's an adjustment there that I'd like to make. I'd like to bring them in a little bit. I like to hit a little bit more home runs. Our field crew is incredible. So our surface, our dirt is unbelievable. I mean, they're out here every day of the week. I mean, they're out here in December when we weren't doing anything, just working on the field, right? It's fantastic. We have great lights. We have a huge video board in the outfield, covered cages, covered bullpens, and then this baseball softball building. It's a shared space, so softball's on one side, baseball's on the other. But we have a year old locker room that's I mean blows away a lot of big time schools. We can I could do 15 different light combinations in there, right? It's each kid has a huge locker. We've got 10 plus uniform. I mean, it's just, we're Nike. I switched us to Easton Rawlings this year. I mean, it's just honestly, whatever we feel like we need, we're going to get, and we're blessed by that. But our facilities, our building here is like a huge selling point. Kids walk into the locker room, they walk into the offices, you walk into a massive meeting space where we do video and film. It's what you see at our building here is what you see at, these big time, Power Five schools or Power Four schools, whatever you want to call it. And I've been to a lot of them, and they don't even have this. So we're blessed.
That's pretty tremendous. Let's talk about the WAC as we record this. You're hosting Utah Tech. This is a very important stretch because after this, obviously, the following conference series, you go to Arlington to take on Kara Dill's and UT Arlington team. Right now, top two in the standings in the WAC. What have you learned about the WAC? You mentioned Shannon Hayes. It's somebody that you know very well. He knows the league very well.
Yep.
Just so happened to leave right as you come, as Greg Kenyon,
Yep.
of course, makes the move to the Mountain West. What's your thoughts here on the WAC?
Well, I hope Shannon listens to this and he knows that he left. He was as soon as I got the job, he was pulling to get out of there because he didn't want to lose. But no, just kidding. I've learned a lot from him. He's obviously given me some great insights, but I won't share too much. I'm sure the other coaches will be mad at him. But it's super competitive. We're still learning it. I'll be honest. We our staff, we go and watch other teams play, and we're constantly got a game on here in the offices, and we're like, man, we have no idea who's who and what they're about, and we're diving into them. And the two series so far have been extremely competitive, right? We've had success, but they've been extremely competitive, and everybody's getting after it. And Utah Tech's going to bring a unique challenge to us. They're super offensive, as was Utah Valley, right? I think they came into our weekend series hitting like almost 370 as a team or something crazy, right? And it was a unique challenge for us offensively, where we're not super offensive, and so we're grateful that our pitching staff was able to handle that. But Utah Tech's going to come in here feeling good off a good weekend. And it's a program that's going to come in here and be offensive and create some challenges for us. They got some really good players, right? I think they have the leading hitter in the conference. We were just chatting earlier about how we're game planning against her, and then we got to go to Texas, right? It's a crazy travel, is what it is, right? And I say that knowing I came from the ACC, where that was one of one in terms of travel, but we got to go to Texas multiple times, right? And then we come back home, and then we got to go to Texas again for the conference tournament, and so it's going to be tough, right, to go on the road. We already went to Utah on the road. That wasn't easy playing at elevation. And so, we're going to go there and deal with some weather, I'm sure. And so we feel like we prepared our preseason schedule, though, accordingly to what was to come in terms of, different, setups in terms of weather and play at elevation and play at different ballparks and all turf and, this, that, and the other. And so, small fields, right? That was a huge thing because as we get into the conference tournament, and other fields not very big, and so when you have rise ball throwers, it becomes a challenge, right? And so we went to Boise where the yard's not very big, and that was set up that way purposely. And so we've put our team through a ton of different tests, and we feel like we're prepared for what's to come. But we know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a challenge, and the WAC is extremely competitive, and it doesn't get a lot of publicity, right? But for us, we know that every coach is going to have their team prepared, and we're just excited to get an opportunity to try and go 1-0.
You mentioned you're going to go to Arlington, Texas next
Yeah.
weekend. Is it a positive that your team is going to get a trip into Texas? Because you're going to have to do that again later, where the
Yep.
conference tournament's held, I believe, in Stephenville, Texas.
Yeah, Tarleton. Yeah.
Yeah, Tarleton
Uh,
there. So
yeah.
is it a positive that you get to travel to Texas this year and
Yep.
and get some experience with that for your players, so you don't have to be like, oh wow, this is new when you go later in the year.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think we've got a great schedule, right? We're in the middle of a 9-game homestand, so that's awesome. We needed that, but then we get our opportunity to go to Texas, and then we come in, we have a bye week, and then we go to Texas again and play Abilene, and so we get to go there twice, and so there's really going to be no excuse for us when we go to the conference tournament, right? Obviously Texas is going to always have some unique weather, and could be hot or could be cold. It could be raining. It could be humid, right? It's always something different. But for us to be able to get on the flight and, do the same thing multiple times, right? I think for us is it prepares us, right? And so we'll feel like we're extremely prepared for when that moment comes to go compete for a WAC championship.
Yeah, league that's kind of in transition a little bit too. I mean, there's some comings
Yep.
and goings that's going to
Yeah.
be that's taking place. So it is fascinating there.
Yeah.
I'll let you go on this. What is going to be the keys for your team moving forward the rest of the year to
Yep.
accomplish your goal to win a conference championship, make the regionals? What are
Yep.
you? What are some keys? What are some things you have to do?
Yeah, I think for us, it's as an offense, we're working on our swing decisions, right? Swinging at the right pitches, but playing our game. And our game isn't hitting the ball over the fence. Our game is button runners over, stealing bases, right? We've got a ton of stolen bases and situational hitting, and so and not trying to play hero ball. I'll be honest with you, that's what we're talking about, right? We get in pressure moments, and kids are saying, "I got to be the hero. I got to do it. I got to do it," instead of just passing the bat. And so we're really working on that. We're working on speeding the game up and putting them in those situations. But for us, continue to our pitchers continue to pound the strike zone and play good defense behind them. But really focused on us and playing our game and not trying to make it something and be something that we're not.
Well, Coach, we wish you well the rest of the season. Good luck. Thanks for coming on. First time coming on the show. I'm sure we'll get you on again later on in the down the road. But in the meantime, thanks for taking the time from a busy time in your schedule here to talk to us here on In the Circle.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. Had a great time.